Welcome to the Good Pod. Today's podcast is presented by Dr. Barry Napier. If you'd like more information, please visit our website, christiandoctrine.com.
The topic today was originally written as an article about 7 years ago, but I think you'll find it interesting that it applies today. Right, the title today is Gog and Magog. G-O-G, not G-O-D. It is likely that most Christians only vaguely know of Gog and Magog. Equally vaguely, they probably remember the names are found in the Revelation, that's 28, and are something vaguely to do with end-of-time trouble. Well, they are vaguely right. However, let us look at the subject in a basic biblical context. Note that Magog is the land ruled by Gog, Noah's grandson. It means the land of Gog, which was to the far north of Israel. In Revelation 28 we read this, "And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea." This is when Satan, in his last throes of freedom, gathers together allies to fight with his own army, that is, demons, against Israel, using physical and spiritual means. But, as in Joshua, when many kings combined their innumerable armies to defeat Israel, they will fail, because God will obliterate them completely. The application for us today is the wicked cooperation of all who hate God and who attack Christians, and sadly Israel as a nation and a people. Those involved may indeed be foreign nations, but Magog will consist of all and any who hate us and who loathe God. This is already being witnessed throughout the world and is led in the West by the UK and Europe. Now, with Donald Trump voted into office, and I say this because it just so happens to be, we might see the utter devastation of Jewish and Christian interests mainly stopped, at least for the next 4 years. There are also many factions, from false religions to militaristic Islam, to homosexuals, to fake environmentalists, and those who are corrupt within the churches, such as true charismatics and the near-dead nominal Christians. Between them they easily form the forces of Magog, but they will be defeated and erased by God. This persecution has already begun, and this is how we know that the time of Revelation 28 is upon us and upon Israel. Though such evil is prophesied, Christians are not to just sit back and allow the enemy to put their feet upon our neck. We are to act with confidence and vigour. Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Mesech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. That's Ezekiel 38:2. The names mentioned there, Mesech and Tubal, were also grandsons of Noah. The Son of Man in this context is not Christ, but the prophet Ezekiel. He was to tell King Gog that he and all his allies were going to be defeated, for God said, "I am against thee," and those whom God is against are already dead. In spite of this promised action by God against enemies, the people were also to act. "Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them." That's 38:7. The move against believers by Gog will be when those believers think all is well. Isn't that like today? "And it shall come to pass at the same time when Gog shall come against the land of Israel, saith the Lord God, that my fury shall come up in my face, for in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel. That's 38:18-19. In those days, at the height of persecution and promised death, God will act with immense force. He will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains. Verse 21. There will be pestilence and blood rained upon the enemy. Verse 22. With rain, huge hailstones, fire and brimstone. In this way God will again be known as the Lord. This is just Old Testament imagery? No. Read what happened to Canaanites who died under the command of God through Joshua, and the 2020s war by Israel against Muslim terrorists. Now Magog was the land ruled by King Gog. Gog was a descendant of Noah through his father Japheth. The land he had was between Cappadocia and Media, that is, between modern central Turkey and northwest Iran, including Azerbaijan, Kurdistan, and some of Kermanshah. The land was referred to as Mada in texts by the Assyrian king, that is, Shalmaneser III. Thus it was to the north, the far north of Israel. In Ezekiel 38:3 we find Jehovah was against King Gog, and thus also against Mesheth, his brother, and another brother Tubal, their people and their lands in East Asia Minor. God says they were in league with Persia, Ethiopia and Libya, plus the people of Gomer, that's the eldest son of Japheth, and so another brother of Gog, and his son Togomar, and his own tribes in the north, and many people. However, numbers were meaningless to Jehovah, for he can crush them in an instant. All of these would gather like locusts to attack Israel, as a cloud to cover the land in the latter days. Ezekiel 38:16. Even so, that will be when God will execute great wrath against them. Verse 18. For this reason Ezekiel was to prophesy against Gog and all his associates. That's 39:1. Gog himself and his army would die and be buried in Israel in the valley of Hamon-Gog as a testimony against those who hate God and his people. Hamon-Gog means the multitude of God, that is, the numbers who were killed and buried in a valley east of the Dead Sea. In the very end days, Gog and all who are like him will gather them to battle. A vast number of enemies, their number so great that no one will be able to count them. Revelation 28. They will deceive most in their efforts to destroy God's children. This enemy will come against Christians and the beloved city. That's Jerusalem. Is this not what is happening before our very eyes now? Is not the world deceived and godless? When this persecution is at its height, God will kill them all and will imprison Satan. The people of Magog will be devoured by fire from God, so that they will know he is in control and to be feared. That's Ezekiel 39:6. The whole picture is that of the enemies of God combining forces to defeat the people of God. When they are at the height of their warfare, physical and spiritual, God will smite them to a man. This time is almost complete, even now.